Alright,
Okay.
we are now going live, hopefully. I'm just gonna assume that everything is working. Hello, audience. We have a lot of people here for brunch today. We totally were not doing that as we prepared.
It's always good to be back brunch. It's another election season over.
Wait, is this actually on?
I think it is starting in a second. There's a bit of a delay. So it's hard to tell if this is actually working or not.
I asked
just waiting for it.
us, so I got no responses, so that probably
We might not be on. We might not be on.
Wait, guys, stop. I have an idea.
I want to, like give everyone an ASMR brunch vibe.
Okay,
You
I'll
know,
go to...
The scary orange man has been relinquished back to Trump Tower.
Is anyone watching?
Calliope, we are not live.
We can all enjoy our own.
10 people
Wait.
are watching, and we are not live. I'm looking at the...
Did I strike the right stream?
I pulled up the YouTube video on my phone. It says we are scheduled to go 4 minutes ago.
Here, I guess I have to do this for now. That's weird. It says live. What's wrong?
It's starting up now.
Here it is. Oh no, I'm gonna hear my voice.
Okay, Ron.
I do not understand YouTube sometimes. Like, what is going on?
Are now going live.
Oh god, I didn't mute.
Yeah, can you mute that, Alex?
Fuck.
So this is already a disaster, and I blame Streamlabs entirely. Yes, this is. I have no idea what's going on.
At least we aren't hypocrites eating brunch before this started, you know? So it's not that much of a disaster.
Alright. So I'll get something else prepared for actually watching footage. A Genshin is not gonna work, guys. I don't have the graphics card to play it and stream at the same time. So we got Alex, the Magnificent. Is my internet connection even working? Yo, hello, Brian. Looks like it is working. All right, I'll get something else to stream. I think Tonight We Ride's a pretty fun game. I'll put that up there. That's a good fit. We have a special guest, Mo Black, with us today. You want to give any like plugs or just tell us who you are?
Howdy, bro.
Check it out, and then we can start nice and orderly.
Oh, we're live now. It's working, I think.
I told you that like 2 minutes ago.
It's kind of okay. Just let me know.
Good morning, Weebs. It is a glorious day to be with you. We have vanquished the evil known as Donald Trump, and we are on our way to a new and diversified day in imperialism. Joe Biden's America will definitely be 100% different than Donald Trump's America.
I mean, that is sure. Can you imagine Donald Trump's America, people of color, and other minorities getting the chance to blow people with drones in the third world? I mean, this is a truly brave day.
We're all living in the imagination of America's America, so.
We did Inception. We're actually in America's palace for all you Persona 5 fans.
I just have a still image up, so if you can hear us clearly, like if our voices aren't lagging, apparently this is the best my computer can do. So just let me know how that works. And
JT24 says yes, he can hear us. Presumably, he says yes. I'm assuming that's what he's answering to.
all right, so we introduced Zolo, we introduced Alex, and I did ask Mo Black, do you want to tell us about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hey guys, I'm Mo Black. I have a YouTube channel on my own where I try and do like leftist analysis of like different anime, mostly on the critical side. I'm also working on a podcast. I'm just happy to be here and shit on Joe fucking Biden. So
Do
please
you want
thank
me to
you.
link? Do you want me to link your channel in the
Uh,
chat 2 minutes ago?
we'll do that later. It's fine.
Okay.
It's kind of
Here, I'll help out and I'll post his channel in the chat. I'm not even.
Don't worry, we give you those e-bucks as we are fellow grifters on that anime communism grind.
it's the
No,
notoriously profitable left anime communism
You
no,
have to
video
figure it
stream.
out, everyone. We are grifters.
we're in the thug's life of the anime communist grift.
I mean, yeah, we
Okay.
have to track down 3 people
All right.
for like, selling.
Don't listen to
anime.
Zolo. I'm here to tell you that things will fundamentally change under my administration today. So I wrote a lot of notes because Joe Biden unfortunately posted a article to Foreign Affairs, and I want to break down a lot of it because I think it's important to stress that, like, despite like this nicer liberal tone, I'm pretty sure American fascism and, you know, it's just going to get worse from here on out. They're going to run this empire, but more efficiently than Trump did, who was just incompetent. So, you know, I'm all for celebrating the Trump being gone, but he's just been replaced by another member of the ruling class. So we have to oppose him on all fronts.
Yes. I mean, best case scenario, we just have a slightly less home.
Right. I think.
Yeah, I'll try to get a game up.
can
I don't
still
know. We got a pretty boring still image up. Tonight We Riot's a pretty fun game, so I'm getting that working.
Okay.
As you can tell, audience, being communists, we are clearly funded by the deep state and by the Koch brothers. You can tell by all of our production value and deep confidence.
No, we
That's
literally
why-
get those she-bucks. We get them.
I mean, that's why PragerU keeps on calling out the leftist media establishment. You can see how much we're being funded.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mo Black, when did you get your latest? Who's the guy that keep on saying gets over bucks? When did you get your newest conspiracy man bucks? Check.
Well, you see, I'm on the Soros subscription, so I get the.
We have a fun video
no
coming out
seriously.
about how Antifa super soldiers couldn't be more wholesome. I hope Soviet Winter Prison starts working in that. But like this game I'm playing Tonight We Riot is like in a cyberpunk world where the masses rebel, and Akudama Drive, the new anime of the season, is basically the same thing. So that will be interesting.
And for all of you listening now, you can look forward to our podcast on Perfect Blue at some point in the future when it actually gets stopped being done editing. So you can look forward to it sometime in 2023.
All right, but let's get right into now that I got the game working. This should be working. I don't think we're dropping any frames now. A Genshin Impact was literally broke the stream. I'm not even kidding.
Sorry.
Now we can get right back into the suffering.
Okay, so let's start off with how Joe Biden starts this foreign affairs thing, and feel free to comment when you want, guys. But he stresses the national security challenges of the DPRK, Iran, Syria, Afghanistan, and Venezuela. And like, this has always been just a joke. Like, what national security threat? What threat do these nations represent at all, other than
Heck, if North
threats
Korea
to
wanted to, they could destroy.
threats to
North Korea
just,
could
you know,
destroy
America's
the entire one
hegemony.
city. North Korea could maybe destroy an entire one city, Calliope. Very scary compared to us and our ability to end the human race anytime we
Yes,
want.
compared to what America did to Korea, which was bomb every building that stood.
Yeah, you know, but they can launch one nuke. They have one nuke, you know.
Mhm.
And that's unacceptable because then, you know, another.
Yeah, so that's part of Joe
If I
Biden's
quote my history-
plan here is.
if I might quote my high school history teacher, remember, America's responsible. That's why we need to have the entire global nuclear supply. I'm not joking. That's a real thing. I was told in high school. Best education system.
So yeah, a lot of this
Clark, were you gonna
article.
say
So yeah, this article is basically stressing getting like nuclear security back in force, which just means taking it away from the DPRK. I'm not sure how Biden's going to do that. It seems like he's willing to do more diplomacy with Kim Jong Un and stuff, but from what we heard,
I doubt it.
yeah, I kind of doubt it. But like he's like
You're probably just
promising it.
claiming that he's willing to do it to get brownie points, and then nothing will actually happen on the subject again. Because you'll think you'll be able to bully them just like Trump did, and
Yeah,
then nothing will happen.
I'm pretty sure the DPRK has learned their lesson that not to trust America on that front, so I don't think it's going to happen.
So I guess the DPRK now is won over on the Soviet Union.
The same thing with the Iran deal. Like the fact that
never-
it's been thrown away, there's no way it's coming back. It's
Yeah,
America
even
has
if
really
it does come back, like in 4 years when we elect another fascist, it's just gonna go away again. I don't relate. If you're a country in the global south, having any kind of productive relationships with the United States is an incredibly frustrating and tedious affair. Both because the overall structure makes sure that the United States constantly like extracts like resources from your country, and at the same time, you don't actually know like how temperamental this administration or that administration is going to be with you on like other issues that are just as important.
If anything, if we learned anything from history, just assume the worst and you're probably right.
assume the word. Yeah.
I mean, I would say one of the biggest failings of the Soviet Union diplomatic was trusting the United States whenever they made a deal, because they would make a deal with the United States. We would immediately go back on it, like literally 2 days later, and then we make another. Then they'd make another deal with the United States.
So the scary part of this new administration is wearing this and like pretending this is a victory when the victory is Trump being out of office for sure. But what Biden is promising is the same old, same old. He constantly uses the word middle class in this article, and by middle class, it's just a made-up term. Like the middle class does not exist in any capacity, other than maybe like some.
Me and Soviet were talking about this yesterday. Like, even in the most like generous definition, the middle class just means you're not at the bare minimum of barely not dying. Real high standards for middle class there.
Vlad, I'm
This
playing
isn't
Tonight We
what-
Riot. It's a game that definitely supports like the Black Lives Matter movement and just protesting in general. And right now I'm just like killing cops. I'm killing people who are like don't tread on me. I'm killing the libertarians. I can even like make the libertarians like join my side. I forget how, but like if I kill all their minions, like all the lackeys, the main guy just like joins you and is now a communist for some reason. He becomes a social
I guess he got
libertarian.
peer pressured.
Yeah, watch. I'll go over this guy. Maybe he'll be converted. Oh wait, maybe not. I don't know what his deal is. He doesn't like me right now. I don't know how to do it again.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I died. And this game also has like a collective life pool, which is interesting. But we'll have to.
Oh, so
check
it's
this level.
like Broforce.
Where can I find this game? Oh, I have to kill the leader and then all the other guys. Okay, that makes more sense. I kill the leader and all the other workers join me. So if you kill the head of the libertarians, they'll join you. Which I feel like, that's an important point to make. I feel like Trump losing is an opportunity. Like, sure, there are a lot of reactionary working class Americans, but it's possible to maybe convince them that, like, Trump was not fighting for their interest. And maybe they could
I
be
have some
leftist now.
experience
I'm
on
not
this
sure.
topic. If I can give some of my own experience on this topic,
Yeah.
what I have learned when it comes to like more traditional right-wingers, I've been able to get them to be on our side economically. Again, I just want to clarify to all people here, I'm not a miracle worker, even though I might seem like one. I am magnificent, but no miracle worker. But all you have to do is point out to them is that their weird like nuclear family thing they're obsessed with is way more practical in like a planned economy than in like this shithole. And they usually fall in line.
Yeah, like a place where a middle class maybe actually exists, where you can actually afford having multiple children instead of being
Or
squished.
just like people are like, you're like, the women need to stay at home. I'm like, Wouldn't that be much more practical? You know, if the economy was planned, and then you just hope there's not enough of them to actually be in power when they take over.
Well, I mean, I guess so, but you have to also, you have to kind of oppose like reactionary social values as well, right? Like,
Yeah, for sure.
Well, these people are already like pretty far gone. I don't think people on like radical traditionalist like forums are really gonna get the. I'm really gonna move very far socially. Again,
Where do you
I am
play?
being
Okay,
against-
I don't know if the Humble Bundle is still working on. There was like a Humble Bundle for racial justice. I don't know if you can still buy it, but like this game's was included in that. It's also on Steam. I'm not sure about any other platforms other than
it's on GOG.
GOG.
If I remember. I believe this is on GOG. I think I went to buy it on GOG and didn't remember before I did.
So, Biden's readdressing like what the concerns of this nation are, and to his credit, he actually at least acknowledges these are problems like climate change, low wages. Like he even mentions a minimum wage increase in one part. Keep in mind, he's a liar. But
What do you mean? Are you telling me the thing that he stand against his entire career, but changed his mind while running for presidency is not trustworthy?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I don't know. I don't believe you.
Oh
How
no!
long
Why is
do
this
you
level
think-
so hard?
Here's a real question I have for everyone. How long do you think nothing will need to happen from all of his promises after taking over before we'll be able to convince anyone he was lying?
December. December.
So a full year after he takes over?
Well, I'm not really pessimistic that much. Like,
Or do you think he'll just stop lying now that he has this such spot?
well, you have to understand that like Biden's whole, I mean, the whole purpose of having like an openly reactionary party and then like a more calm liberal party is to just kind of sap energy from like actual leftist working class movements that take place in the United States, right? So you can imagine, for example, after a summer of 200,000 people dying from the coronavirus, 40 million people facing eviction, 8 million people having been forced into poverty. You can imagine the kind of discontent that organizers on the ground have been able to like mobilize into some kind of like leftist formation. And so what Joe Biden's job is essentially is to like parrot the talking points of what people are concerned about to get them to feel like this was a victory for them, and then ultimately refuse to address the actual problems that take place. So
That's a
with
great
one side of
point.
his mouth, he'll say, "Oh yeah, we need a minimum wage increase. We need to protect
Yeah,
people with this
and
and
that's-
that and that." But at the end of the day, what's going to happen is, if it's true that the Senate stays red, that's just going to be the perpetual excuse for why things stay the same. And then that's also going to be the perpetual excuse of why the Democratic Party can't move further left, right? Because it's just going to be like, well, if we move further left, do you want to lose the Senate again? Do you want
I have a
this? Do you
comment on
want
that. Come back to when you're done.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So I was talking to my dad, and he took the election of Biden
Okay,
as
there are
proof
drones
that
in this game.
That it would be impossible for Bernie to win. And I'm like, no. Yes, clearly Bernie couldn't have won because when you gave a person a right-wing person and a slightly less right-wing person, that proves the left couldn't have won. And I wonder, like, how common do you think that thinking is amongst like the Democratic base?
I want to talk about how like the entire two-party system is fundamentally flawed. Like, there's a lot of people who think like other party systems, like perhaps like a one-party state or anything like that, is just like somehow immediately autocratic. But the two-party system is meant to like distract us, and it's like the Republican and Democratic Party. They both serve the same ruling class interests. So there's not really any distinguishing factors amongst them. Except like
Yeah,
weird
that's
like
interesting
window
point,
dressing
because-
aesthetics.
at least in a one-party state, you don't have anyone else to blame, distract to.
Yeah, you just blame the government as a whole, and that's you don't. What the Democratic Party is able to do is they can just blame the Republicans, which is what they're going to do with the Senate, as Mo Black pointed out. Like,
Oh, guys, we
not
really
getting anything
tried
done, it's the
hard.
Senate's fault.
The Republicans said they wanted to bring back slavery, and we said no. But then they said they wouldn't hold a vote, and we compromised, and we said we would bring back slavery. But
So-
we get to raise taxes slightly.
Yeah.
Real shame, but I think we did a progressive thing today.
Oh God, how do I kill this guy up there? I don't want to kill all his followers. They could join me.
Well, too bad you did it.
Okay, this is bad. So yeah, Joe Biden is stressing he just like wants to return to when the democracy was actually functional and wasn't like bipartisan. And to be fair, I feel like he will cooperate with the Republicans more because like he kind of is one himself. That's not a good thing, but that's just how the Democrats operate, is that they're willing to make things worse just so the Republicans agree, even if it doesn't accomplish anything.
What do you mean? This is the most progressive period in history. Don't point out the fact that in their last National Congress, really weirdly religious and wouldn't shut up about God. That's bad.
Oh no! No! I just blew up some comrades.
Yeah, let's see. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you a bit.
Oh,
It sounds like your mic's a bit better now.
you can barely hear you though.
Whatever. Anyway, so I was I don't know, I saw a meme the other day that was like left accelerationist going to the polls to vote for Trump and right accelerationist going to the polls to vote for Biden. So like, you know, it's kind of the state of that and with the
But like the two-party system is designed to become paralyzed and not achieve anything. It's like not a like efficient or effective government in any regard because it doesn't represent any of our concerns as a people.
And even like the biggest counter argument is the one time we had a third party candidate immediately fell back into a two party state. When Abraham Lincoln got elected, the Republicans were a third party. The two parties then were the Democrats and the Whigs.
I love the newspaper like headlines for this game. A rustic state of docks seen as potential tourist attraction. Dangerous pitfalls? No. Authentic scenery. Whippleton. Whippleton. That's his name. Oh my god. That's the people who write our news articles in this country. Whippleton.
Yeah,
There's this
so-
funny statement Biden makes. He says, "Trust in democracy is down." I wonder why. Jeez.
I think ultimately, the thing about democracy is that it's the promise of democracy is that when you vote for an elected official, the elected official does the thing you want, right?
Yeah, that's
And
the
this is
idea.
not, and this is not actually what happens. When we have elections, it's less of voting for what people actually want and more voting to legitimize one party rule over the other party's rule, right?
Oh yes.
And so when
Oh,
people
no, I
say,
turned everyone
like
into
people like Joe
mutants.
Biden say, trust in democracy is down. It's true because our system is not democratic. It has elections, but those elections ultimately just serve the interests of the ruling class.
Yeah, it's to legitimize their rule. And in that respect, it has been delegitimized in these past 4 years with Trump. Like, it's been completely undermined that this is a working system to the
Now,
majority
I
of people.
think we might be able to take advantage of this. Now, I think something you need to remember is material conditions now are not the exact same material conditions we had under Obama. Trump being the guy we had before this, if we can just hammer in throughout the entire administration, nothing changing under Biden, we might be able to break the illusion that the Democrats would do anything. If things continue to get worse, then Biden does nothing like he's probably going to.
Yeah, there is definitely no return to normal right now. I mean, 200 30,000 people, I think, have died of coronavirus at this point, and it's going to continue. Like, it's spiking up. And
Is anyone else like me in like I think the 1 out of 10 people now that don't have a job thanks to Corona?
don't know.
I
I fortunately have my job, but it was pretty rough on YouTube for a while. Like, I literally saw things get a bit changed up on YouTube, but it's back to normal now, so that's cool. I'm the only one left in this protest right now. I accidentally turned all my comrades into mutants somehow. These barrels like explode and chemicals, unfortunately, which the capitalists just left in the streets. They just left them on the docks. Dangerous chemicals. How dare they?
Oh, okay. So the video's lagging. Just so you know, Calliope.
Well, I mean, there's always going to be some delay between.
Yeah.
I think there's about a 1 minute delay between us talking and the video footage you're playing catching up.
He also talks about, like, after the distrust with the democracy, Biden mentions that the fear of the other is up, which is such an interesting thing to say when this entire article is saying that, like, China's a rising threat and we need to deal with it. Like, you wonder why the fear of the other is up when he's pushing another agenda in this foreign affairs piece.
But here's the thing.
And
It's the fear of another that's also on his team. That's the problem. We can't fear the Republicans. Yeah, maybe they. But he pretends. But he doesn't hate black people. He pretends to. Are we all going to ignore the fact that Biden fought against the anti-segregation law?
The thing about Joe Biden is that he's kind of been in the center of wherever the Democratic Party is, no matter what. He's kind of like the ultimate grifter. So if during segregation, the left says no segregation and the right says less segregation, Joe Biden says segregation, but responsibly. Right? if it's the 90s and crime is at an all-time high because the racialized neoliberal politics of the 80s threw black communities into chaos and poverty, and literally everyone is saying we need to lock up more black kids, then Joe Biden will say, let's lock up black kids, but let's attach the Violence Against Women Act, on the edge of it. If now there are racial protests that say, hey, can we at least defund, if not abolish the police? Joe Biden will say, well, we can retrain the police, to shoot you in the leg, right? Like, Joe Biden doesn't have.
Sounds like a real thing.
He literally said we should shoot them in the leg, not the heart. That's what he said, word for word, on like national television.
No, he said it more than once too, right? So the point of Joe Biden is that he's just.
Don't worry, guys. We won't stop killing black people. We'll just create a generation of crippled black people. How progressive of me.
He is. I think. I don't believe that like anyone is not ideological. But I think Joe Biden is the closest thing to
I disagree. I'm pretty sure sunflowers are non-ideological.
Any person is not ideological.
Any person is ideological, but plants are definitely not ideological.
Are babies ideological?
Joe Biden's obviously, but like, of course, he's like a liberal. But what I mean when I say he's the closest thing to have to a non-ideology is in the sense that he will preserve the status quo by like doing whatever is in the middle of like what the political climate is.
This is what J-Reg was warning us about the centrists.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually about to say,
he will
hot take. Unironically, J-Reg has better politics than both of our presidential candidates.
No, for real.
We
should elect him.
Politics. I mean, his politics are just like all extremes being better than this.
I like how my comments help me open boxes and get more loot. Like, they just help me out for like, they just do it. They get me supplies. And I don't even have to ask.
I'd like to point out something, how terrible this situation is. A unironic J-Reg presidency of him just putting, like, at random, extremists from all four political corners in all of his government seats would probably be somehow better than what we have now.
I'm not really sure about, like, putting ANCAPs and fascists in government to make.
Yeah, but we also have communists and anarchists, so maybe you bounce it to.
Okay.
Maybe we just fight each other. We be able to stab them quicker.
Really not sure, but yeah, that's kind of what brought this about. Oh yeah, like the fear of the other.
Yeah,
So
fear of the other is up according to him.
Yeah, like so when fascists say we hate immigrants in China and stuff, Joe Biden will be like, yeah, China's bad. That's of course. We just need to hate China responsibly. We need to warmonger with Iran
here's the thing,
and Russia.
he wants to
carefully.
couple again with like China, like he's gonna reverse the decoupling that Trump did with the trade war, but like he's still gonna propagate the same like narrative against China. It's just weird because like he's going to want to couple again economically with China, so it's a weird thing, but that's what's gonna happen.
Right. Florida developed an algorithm to predict crime. I haven't seen that specifically. I don't know, Calliope, have you? If you're checking chat, someone mentioned
I have not heard about that, but I believe it. They have like weird things like that where, you know, detect faces, and by predict crime, it's going to predict crime in certain areas, targeting black people, obviously. So, yeah. It's not really an algorithm when they just like arrest them for no reason.
I'm not sure about Florida specifically, but I do know there was basically how it works is the system would pick up where a crime was, and it would tell police officers to like increase policing where the crime is, right? To like better allocate police resources, right? But the thing is that the police are not evenly distributed, right? Obviously, there are more police
in white areas. There's less of them, so there's less crime in general.
So when the police go and they arrest someone in a black neighborhood, right, it adds 1 point to that neighborhood needing more policing. So then you just add more police and add more police and add more police, and the more police you add, the more crime you find. And it's like, wow, we're really adding more costs. We're really allocating the police to where they need to be. But in reality, it's like a self-perpetuating loop that you've got yourself in which you're not actually like spending police I mean, obviously the police should be abolished, but like even if you're not operating under that framework, you're essentially just reinforcing the biases that already exist in the policing system.
Oh no, how do I save this person?
I have a hot take here, okay? This system might be good for us, and here's what we do. We just take advantage and make sure to do all the socialist crime in the neighborhoods that police aren't. Because they'll get them all in one neighborhood, which means we can do crimes in the other one.
Vlad is asking,
thinking.
Isn't the CCP bad? I don't know if Mo Black agrees, so I'm just speaking for myself here, but our stance on this channel is that the CPCC is an actual like social democracy. Like it's a people's democracy is what it stresses. It's definitely way more based than America. It's hard to get into the nuances if you don't know about it, but
there should probably be a stream dedicated to that.
That's a topic in of itself, and just know that it's not like this evil authoritarian dictatorship. I'm sorry, but that's America. That's how America is run.
I mean, even if it would still be somehow less bad than America, because at least then it's not doing genocides outside of its border.
I'm not saying whataboutism. It's just I have to dedicate too much time to explain, so it's not that bad.
Anyway, any thoughts on my totally not ironic theory that we should just take advantage of the system and do all the crimes in the neighborhoods that cops aren't?
I mean, that's kind of what happens though. Like it seems like remember when there was all that like uprising and stuff, and like the white people like Jake Paul, was it Logan Paul or Jake Paul? Logan, I'm gonna say Jake Paul was like streaming like looting a mall, and it's like of course they're doing this. It's like Jake Paul's like streaming it, and it's like this is not how you do this. Like I'm all for looting, but like streamers, no, stop. What are you doing?
If you did that in like a poorer neighborhood, the stream would end with his head being blown up.
But like streaming in general, like insurrection's not good because like that just gives evidence of what you did.
Oh yeah.
So what I'm thinking is like Joe Biden's policy on race is basically the Chaz take. It's like woke segregation. Like it's segregation if we all agree. You know what I'm saying?
Are you saying that Biden's going to reveal himself to be an eco-fascist?
That's what his Biden's Green New Deal sounds like, eco-fascism. It's gonna be a movie called Promare. Is what it's gonna look like, probably.
Oh god, I still have to watch
How did I get over here? How did everyone walk over here? Oh god. Have you not seen Promare, Mo Black?
Oh no, I have. It's
Okay.
great.
Thought
No,
that's what
I'm
it said.
I am the only filthy person who's not interested in it.
You're missing out, big time.
I was supposed to do the Watch Together Soviet at some point that we just kind of forgot by watching other stuff.
All right, we're gonna continue through this article. One of really funny line is he said America's international system, and he says international system. What he's talking about is imperialism, by the way. He didn't say that, but that's what he means. Is coming apart at this very seams. So, yeah, unfortunately, they want to restore that because Trump was kind of a fool. Like in some regards, you could say like he was accelerating America's decline. I'm not really sure. It's kind of hard to say there's a greater evil. But there's definitely a tendency that they want to restore like what America was doing, which is like smaller scale military operations to topple governments that oppose them. Biden stresses that later. That's like, we don't need to be in these countries to do war. We just need 200 soldiers or something to do intelligence operations, stuff like that. More coups.
In other words, just undeclared war.
Yeah, undeclared war. That's what. Yeah, that's a good term for it.
The good old days of Vietnam, where we never technically declared war.
Oh, guys, throw a snowball at me. Okay, cool. You can put out fires on comrades by throwing snowballs at each other. That's a cool game mechanic. Unfortunately, I learned that a little too late.
Comrades, for when the revolution comes, remember, when they bring out the flamethrowers, just grab some snowballs.
Now's the time. It's almost December. We're getting ready.
Yeah, so on this, it's kind of Trump ran for 4 years on having like an America first foreign policy, and I think it's like not stressed enough how kind of laughable that is, because it implies that U.S. foreign policy has ever been oriented in a way that benefits any other country but the United States.
Yeah,
I mean,
it always has been.
every.
I'm going to argue with you on that, right?
I mean, no, like
And
every.
if we expand benefiting to other countries in the imperial core, so like Europe and Canada, I think you can say it benefits other countries.
Sort of, but like even then, only to the extent that these things benefit the United States. Like the imperial core benefits from proximity to the United States, right?
Fair counterpoint. I retract my statement.
Okay. Right, but like, the thing is, like, even Democrats will admit that a lot of the reasons why the U.S. military must like play adventurism around the world is not necessarily to protect America or Americans, but America's interests, right? Our interest in propping up this proxy state or that proxy state.
Let's be fair.
Or
It's
this
not even America's
multinational or
interest.
that
You're defining
multinational.
America as like the way we normally think of a government. It's not America's interest. It's the interest of corporations that happen to be sitting in America. It doesn't benefit the majority of people in America one bit.
Right.
I think that's something we really need to hammer in when it comes to persuading conservatives and liberals to come over to our side. I
You'll
can't
notice-
just keep on doing the, planned economies make traditionalism more easy argument forever. I would like to persuade some slightly less crazy people, okay?
You'll
So
notice.
you say Trump
every
didn't
once in a
start
while-
a new war, but like that's not technically true. I mean, he did heighten aggressions. He killed Qasem Soleimani like the first like month of this year, if you remember correctly, which incited a whole lot of casualties, by the way, and could have resulted in who knows how many deaths if it even escalated further. But he also did that failed coup in Venezuela. I mean, a lot of the military things Trump has done has failed, but like that's come on, that's still things that he did under his administration. So it's not true that he's anti-war at all. He was clearly very pro-war.
He's incompetent. He's an incompetent war hawk.
Yeah. And also,
So
you know,
people say.
So I think there's a question about Joe Biden we all need to answer for prosperity, because this will be recorded forever. To take bets, what will be the first war crime that everyone ignores because of Democrats when Joe Biden's in charge? I'm betting increased Jones strikes.
It's impossible to time what the first war crime is, because there will be simultaneous war crimes of kids still being locked up in cages, which he started, or I mean, I think Obama started or expanded.
Orders, just to clarify, war crime he orders.
Orders? So like an executive order.
You know, like Obama said, increase Jones strikes, something like that.
It's hard to know, because like the thing is, like, you know, it's true that Trump would probably tweet about it, but like, the thing about a Biden presidency is they won't tweet about it. It'll kind of be kept secret, it seems, or, you know, not as publicized. Because that would look bad.
At the end of the year, we'll just be like, yeah, you know, we did have that time where we dissected kids alive in front of their parents in order to interrogate them. But, you know, it's fine. We did it for democracy. You know that's a real thing Bush did?
Yeah, I mean,
That was
interesting.
an actual Bush
Like,
interrogation tactic. It was like, yeah, just torture children in front of their parents. That should interrogate them. What did the children do wrong? Nothing. Being another poor. Why does no one talk more about the fact Bush did that?
unfortunately, Alex, I don't want to really entertain your question, because, like, you know, we all know what could happen. It's not really gonna be fun to speculate, but so we'll just move on.
So let's move on.
I want to move on to how onto
Further-
the topic, because we're going through this article on foreign affairs just to break down everything. Like, this is this is absolutely disgusting.
Do you
This
want
entire
to? Should we
article.
post that? I'll post the article in chat so people know what the fuck we're talking about.
Okay, I'll get the direct link.
I mean, I do have it already. I'm posting it.
Oh yeah, if
gave
you want
it-
to post it, that'll help out. So the next section is renewing democracy at home specifically, which is a lie. What I find funny is he's saying like that democracy strengthens our leadership to keep us safe, which he said that, but we just had Trump. We just got done with Trump. Like, so how is this even true? How is the democracy actually working if it elected Trump? That's how the system is set up to allow these types of fascists. And it's worth considering that, like, Trumpism got how many votes? Like 60 million plus votes from Americans? So it's clearly not over. Like, next 4 years, if Biden's not successful, another fascist is just going to roll up. So this democracy isn't going to be renewed. There's no renewing it. It's broken.
Well, here's the problem. Renewing assumes that there was a thing to renew. You can't renew something that was never there. Like, if I start a subscription, I'm not renewing it because there was no subscription to begin with. Is this metaphor tracking, or is this sounding not?
No, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense.
So, yeah, I think the thing we need to hammer in, like, so here's the thing will be the big question. What's our new tactic? Because I think Trump, the tactic of increasing the left, was just letting Trump talk. But we're going to have to actually be more active fighting.
Yeah, we'll have to struggle even more. Like, I feel like with Trump, it's very obvious, like, that, like, he's gonna repress any movement. Like, he's pretty sure he specifically asked governors to do that, and Biden's probably gonna do that too. But it will look even worse for his reputation the more social unrest there is. Like, with Trump, the media co-opted the movements. Like, the Democrats wanted to co-opt the Black Lives Matter movement. But if we have social unrest under Biden, how do they co-opt that? It's much harder. It's much more difficult to co-opt that.
You'll notice that Black Lives Matter was much more successful under Trump than it was under Obama. And the reason why, I mean, even like for example, both Obama and Trump called Black Lives Matter protesters thugs. They both like sent the National Guard to occupy various cities that were under unrest after black people were killed by the police. Like the reason why Black Lives Matter was allowed to like gain more traction under Trump is because
The
what
media,
liberals
yeah,
do
boosted it.
when they're in, yeah, like the media use Black Lives Matter against Trump, so that's one thing. But also, when liberals are in charge, like I said before,
Alex, you
their
never posted
point
the article.
is to derail and sap the energy from left-wing movements and to co-opt them.
So, are you aware of the origins of American Labor Day? This ties back into what you just said.
Yeah, the origins of Labor Day is it just replaced International Labor Day, which is May 1st, to, you know,
Yeah, it's
steal the
because
thunder.
the government was like, May Day is too radical, and then they tried to ban it, but that didn't work because them. So they're like, okay, what if we just create our new holiday and say that one's allowed to be celebrated?
So yeah,
Do
Mo
you-
Black, what do you think about, like, now that the media won't be co-opting these movements, or they won't be doing it as hard? They will try, but like they'll co-opt it in like a pro-Biden way. Do you think like the momentum is enough to just like keep it going?
I think that depends. I'm a big advocate. So I guess for the context of your followers, I'm a little bit. I'm kind of a different tendency in you in that I'm an anarchist. But the thing that I believe in more than anything else is the ability to like create counter institutions to both capitalism and to the state. To have a point of unity, like this is dual power, which is something
Yeah,
that
dual
Lenin
power.
wrote extensively about. I think that if the left wants to survive the next 4 years and to not be co-opted, we need to build organizations first in our communities and then across communities and across states, then across the country that are explicitly like anti-capitalist, explicitly anti-imperialist, explicitly intersectional. If we build these structures that can stand on their own, then the media can't really co-opt that, right?
Yeah,
because
that's a good point.
Well, I mean, I from my own experience know that definitely is co-optable, but you actually need some skill to know what the fuck you're doing.
Or like you need to actually like infiltrate those movements,
It takes
which is possible. They will try to infiltrate the movements, but like it's not going to be easy for them to do that compared
I've
to
done
if
some things on like right groups.
it's
but, like,
spontaneous.
yeah, infiltrating things like that takes out significantly more work and actually having some idea what you're doing.
I guess what I'm saying is to differentiate ourselves from like what Black Lives Matter tried to do. Right? So like Black Lives Matter, it created like an LLC. It works to have politicians support its tenants. It works to get people who believe in the Black Lives movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, elected, so on and so forth. And then what that does is whatever is electable becomes like the face.
Oh my god, this is so bad. Sorry, this video game is scary. This video game, it's terrifying. Oh my god. This is how movements get crushed, guys. I'm sorry. This is the worst case scenario.
Guys, you guys all remember the alternate history book, you know, where Lenin during the October riots got distracted by him fucking up his PSP game and everything went downhill. The fascists took over.
Oh no. When the PlayStation game causes the revolution to fail.
Yeah, you know, it's basically like... Basically what we're saying, the only reason the Soviets took over is because Nintendo didn't yet.
I think there's a point to be made how, like, the people who were, like, pro-Biden, like, they've shown their true colors. Like, we know not to trust them anymore. Calling out Bosch specifically here, just saying.
I could definitely relate. Like, I think like a lot, like I don't know, like a lot of people in my family notice move right from being Bernie people to Biden people as the unrest happened.
Yeah, there's definitely
How do we get people who used to be Bernie and then went to Biden? How do we get them to start moving further to the left again? Is the real question. Because we all used to not be leftists, so we know it's possible.
Yeah,
well, I think.
I mean,
Okay. You
I used to.
No. You probably have a more coherent thing to say than I did.
Oh.
No, but
well,
the floor,
the-
or I guess
okay,
like
well,
the metaphorical floor that is the internet stage.
the only thing I was gonna say is that we have to make sure that our actions like match our politics. So like if you brought up Vash, like not to, I don't want to turn this into like a left drama stream, but one of the, I think the most important criticisms of I think how he approaches politics is just most, if not all, of what he suggests that we do to like bring about socialism is materially indistinguishable from what you would do if you're like a progressive or like a social democrat, right?
Wait, stop, Mo Black. Are you telling me socialism isn't stock options for workers?
Yes, but I guess what I
Stock
mean more
options for
specifically,
workers.
what I mean more specifically is the idea that, like, for example, voting for Biden is voting for Biden. And it has some benefits and it has some drawbacks, but voting for Biden is what it is. Your vote for Biden is not different than some libs vote for Biden just because in your heart you don't like capitalism, but the libs actually do. Right?
I agree. Like I'm probably was the most pro Biden person here, but that's only really because I think he'll be better on LGBT things, and I think that's like better for some of my family members. But beyond that, I think he'll be identical.
Right. Look, I'm not saying that we can set aside the argument for whether or not you should have voted for Biden. That's not really what I'm concerned about here. But I'm saying that if your only praxis is I'm going to vote for the most leftist person on my ticket every 4 years, you're not doing anything different. Like,
Oh,
think
I
about
think
it this way.
that's still, I think you're making a big mistake there. It's not even the most leftist person. Like in 2016, I had 4 communist parties on my ticket, and even this year I had 2. The other one being replaced with a radical centrist and white supremacist. But like when it comes to like people's tickets, is it different outside New Jersey that we actually get a lot of third parties on our tickets?
What the hell? What's going on?
Third parties.
Is that a New Jersey thing? Is that outside of New Jersey, do you not get that?
In New York and New Jersey, I know they have like a bunch of third parties.
Yeah, there's like, let me do my math real fast. 1, 2.
But
We had 7 or 8 presidential candidates to choose from on my ticket voting.
yeah, we only had a handful on mine. But the point I want to make, then I'll hand this back to Calliope, is just that imagine like your standard run-of-the-mill like liberal, and imagine them voting for the Democratic candidates, right? Would that bring about socialism? No, right? Obviously not, right? Because they're participating in a system that is meant to maintain capitalism, right? So if you replace that liberal with a socialist who just votes Democratic every 2 to 4 years, there's no reason to believe that that brings you any closer to socialism than if the liberal votes. So regardless of whether or not you're voting, you need it to be either forming affinity groups or joining. There are a bunch of different parties out there. There's like the PSL. I have criticisms of the DSA, but you can find good comrades organized through them. There are more local or activist groups, tenants unions,
Just
organizing
don't
their
join
own.
the Communist Party of the United States, okay? Do not join that group. In case any of you guys don't know, they're the meme group that has in a row supported Hillary for the election with Obama and Hillary, then opponent Obama, and then supported Biden in this last election. Also did not support Bernie, by the way. Real comrades.
Yeah, we'll not get into the party drama. I mean, there are fair criticisms, but you gotta choose the right one, and there are a lot of communist parties to choose. So, just look into it.
Yeah, I would say so.
Oh, I think it's important though to like look at the example of Bolivia recently, which is a much more interesting election to begin with.
Right.
But like they did the dual power strategy where it wasn't just about the election; it was about the social struggle as well. So.
Mm-hmm.
How long until you think Biden tries to overthrow the country again?
Zola, you sound
Oh wait, so were you
so
trying to-
low.
You're like really quiet. So
Is
I'm
that-
sorry for talking.
Try disconnecting your mic and replugging it in.
Maybe we'll kick Zolo and replace him with Soviet. Yeah, sorry Zolo, we can't hear you. So let's add some Soviet winter prison energy if he wants to join.
Can we just
Oh.
increase the
Sure.
channel to 5 and add one?
We'll do that. I'll unlock it.
Soviet said he's free.
And here's the thing about Biden's strategy is it sounded like he wanted to make more union jobs. I don't know if that's true, but like unions aren't going to necessarily be a solution. He might make more reactionary unions that won't fight for anyone's interests but their own. Like Alex joked, worker stocks. That's not going to be great.
We have to wait. Does someone join? Okay. You have to like understand how liberals actually see union jobs. They don't really see unions as a thing that should be universal, but rather they see them as a relic of what they imagine as like the white working class in the Rust Belt states that can offer good jobs for certain constituencies. Like the liberal conception of what like a union is much different than what like a syndicalist or like a Leninist or any
Literally
other kind of,
anyone,
like,
literally
kind of
anyone, literally anyone left of center.
right.
Well, these soft
point
ones have
of-
been right.
The point of building union power for a leftist is to hopefully gain the ability to deploy general strike. Like they need to be widespread, they need to be militant, they need to be powerful enough to actually like shut down work so that we can demand change from the system. The point of unions, if you're a liberal, is to just have like higher wages than normal. Oh, hello.
Hey.
Yo,
We'll introduce you in the beginning of the next segment. Continue on with Moback.
I see you've been reading this entire article through the chat,
I
so
have.
I bet you have some spicy takes.
I have a lot to say.
You will say that after Black's done with his take, and we go to the next session. Carry on, Moback.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's just multi-pronged approach. Good. Unions good, but only if they're like radical and are actually against capitalism and not just
Co-opted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, listen, if you have a union, but the union has signed like a no strike agreement or something like that with your boss,
Which
no.
defeats the whole point.
Like, there's gonna be
The whole
in-house
point.
Amazon unions, you know, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, I actually.
Yeah.
Are you guys aware of the union situation in Japan?
Not currently.
It's pretty bad from what I hear.
Oh,
I don't understand it that much.
So the union situation currently in Japan, the reason unions have survived is in a weird sense. Basically, only company unions have survived, which are basically like really watered down unions that are basically like just ensuring like the most lactose worker safety things. And by allowing that to work, the government's been able to kill anything more radical. Making sure that workers, don't make sure they have safety gear and stuff. And I think that's the direction of liberal unionization. Would you guys agree?
I mean, it makes sense that if your
Yeah.
workers die, your company is less efficient. So at least make sure that they don't die with your union. And that does make sense. That's probably the extent of that.
Apparently, in Japan, the only real union left is the automotive union. Is the only one that's actually a union left.
Right.
Yeah, you
It
have
has
to
any
understand
effective
that in
power.
a class war, that the capitalists are the one who are going to wage it. They're not going to give up their vested interest in it. So I mean, it would be nice to have a revolution without violence, but like the fascists and the capitalists,
Reactionaries.
the reactionaries
On the
are going to
opposite-
respond with violence no matter what we do. So it's a tactic we're required to at least consider in that respect, because
So
there's
on the off. So on.
Like, we would like all this stuff to happen peacefully, but that's like typically not how this goes down. Even in the countries where the Socialist Party wins elections, there's
yeah,
still
like
violent
Bolivia,
conflict.
recent example. They achieved their socialist party winning the election through a peaceful election, but they had to protest. They had to lock down the economy.
They had to.
They had armed groups
actually,
too.
Yeah, they had to organize and use these organizations to help further advance their cause, which helped them achieve victory. That wasn't like this totally, idealized peaceful thing. There was conflict, and they had to fight against this,
Yeah, what I'm concerned about is like the
government.
we saw a lot of the protests recently, and there were a lot of people just like co-opting the movement who were joining, and they were stressing like this is a peaceful protest, but like what does that mean when the cops are like
attacking the protesters?
Yeah, and like boxing you in.
You let down and die, obviously.
You shouldn't. So when we say like we need to like participate in like revolutionary activity, I don't want you to think like the only thing that is what you need to do is to like throw yourself in front of a cop and like burn something and then like get arrested and like.
No,
like,
that's not conductive.
Yeah, like
it's not helpful.
some of that at some point may happen to some people, but like I'm actually I'm like getting my feet wet in like different like activist groups and stuff, and like the thing that we actually need, like the thing that I'm putting like most of my attention to right now is like mutual aid. Like I'm literally just trying to like get people fed and like get
that's a
houseless
huge
people-
problem right now. in
get
general.
houseless people organized and like class conscious and like get them like a space that they need to like sleep that's like not outside and stuff like that. So like writing stuff and like radicalizing people is like also another thing. So like it's not like the violence that you're going to see in the movies. Like 99% of 99% of everything that you're going to do.
It's really sensationalized.
Yeah,
We're not calling for violence. We just have to recognize that like it is a reaction.
it will occur. It will occur.
And even in like examples like the Soviet
But
Union.
it's not the only tactic. It's not even the best
The
tactic.
main idea, not even the main
You know, like
tactic.
cases like the Soviet Union, people forget like the 99% of stuff that happened before the takeover of the government.
Right, like the forming
that
of
was,
Soviet.
yeah, it took like several decades in order to achieve that, of like doing like
We
actual
only
work,
remember
building
that-
these structures.
But we only remember the dramatic storming of the Capitol.
At least that's
the
what
dramatic
how it's in our in our textbooks, right?
Yeah. Speaking of, I think there's another danger we need to all discuss. That is the danger of if things go well for us, like the left being co-opted in the system, like what happened to the Communist Party of Japan, where basically they've been pacified by giving them just enough power where they have a few seats in the government, making them perpetually think, we're making progress while nothing happens.
Yeah, that's definitely a reformist party that won't achieve any class power, from what I
Yeah.
understand.
Here's the thing.
I don't know much of the details, but that's what it looks like from the outside.
I don't know anything about them. It seems like they were not obliterated because they split off from the Internationality.
The international, yeah.
Disagreements with Stalin, who didn't like their reformist methods, like they won't accomplish anything. And
Well, a lot of them split up too. Also during the Civ, it's complicated. Like it's a whole
I
thing.
saw a video on the history of it recently. But my main point is avoid being co-opted into the system in a way where they could just be pacified infinitely.
Right. So, I actually.
Oh, we
I
can
was
beat up
looking-
Reach Pippu's car in this game. Oh, I hurt myself doing that. Yeah, but I'm gonna throw bricks at these bourgeois
Nice.
cars.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I read this article, right, that you guys shared.
Yeah, you were complaining about it last night when we were talking.
Yeah, I was, and I I have some things to say about it. Also, there's a 0% chance Joe Biden actually wrote this article. So I'm
Yeah,
trying to
there's
pass
no.
this off that he
This
wrote
article
it.
is too well written for a person past their
It's
prime.
clearly written by like dictation and
Like, be honest. Let's be honest, Soviet. The word corn pops isn't written down once. This can't be him.
I've got hairy
There's no
legs.
pony soldier. That must have been edited out.
Yeah.
Did he accuse the audience of not being black?
No, he did not. So this is obviously not written by him. Like this is like pretty professionally written. So, anyways, what it's basically saying here is, well, obviously he goes on about renewing U.S. democracy and all that, and they're saying he's talking about like the triumph of democracy and liberalism over fascism and quote unquote autocracy that created the quote unquote free world. And I hate this term. Like
The free world.
yeah.
Free from what?
The free
Yeah,
world, the
for-
five
for
eyes
what?
being spied on all the
Free for
time.
who?
Yeah, freedom for whom to do what? Like that's the first question that you should ask. when
Freedom from
somebody
the
says that.
communists.
It's like pretty much what he's saying. I like how that word is like not directly stated in this entire article. They're like autocracy or like illiberalism.
Yeah,
or whatever.
he didn't mention communists. That's kind of strange. He just
Yeah.
mentioned the CPC, of course.
He did.
and-
He did. Yeah. But right, I'm saying he in the context of like this is what the article says that he's saying, right? Okay, I do find this part comical where he's like talking about how during the Obama-Biden, like they instituted policies. It's not specified at all to reduce civilian casualties.
And
I have
What
no
does that
idea
mean,
what that
like-
means.
Reduce,
Every
I
time
think that's
Trump
implying
policy
like less drone strikes, which is obviously not going to be true.
That's
Maybe it's like maybe it's a policy to stop recording his name.
well, the thing is, if you look at what those policies are, those were already carried out under Obama. Like he did the double strike policy, where you'd bomb like a building, and you'd have the drone fly around and then bomb the first responders.
Yeah,
They
right
did
from
that,
right out of the text of Susan Collins, author of The Hunger Games.
Yeah, that's
also,
what they,
it's like kind
did.
of literally, it's kind of literally laughable for
Oh my God,
Biden
these
to
drones
say that,
literally, like,
reduce
evaporate you.
civilian
Oh my
casualties when the only reason we know that most drone strikes killed civilian casualties is because they were leaked.
right.
Like the
Yeah.
the Obama
Wait,
Biden
wait,
administration
wait, stop.
squashed anyone who tried to
Any
actually-
whistleblower.
Yeah,
We need to trust them. And Biden really cares. He said so right before he ran for presidency.
Yeah,
it's just
but it's
So as leftists, can we start making fun of Biden now? Is that okay?
Yeah,
that-
it's all green, and if you're not, then you've shown
Yeah.
your true colors, like I said
yeah.
before.
If you're not at this point, if you're saying,
Like
oh,
if
we'll
Vosh
push him
hasn't
to
made
the
a
left,
single thing
like,
about like how like racist Biden is, or he hasn't said anything about that, or how like he'll kill innocent people across the globe. If he's
Yeah.
not saying anything internationally focused at this point in time, like please stop watching him. Please stop. There's
So-
a bunch of other
Watch
comrades
dead.
we can promote.
The numbers.
So right, like right here, this is where this ties into this. Is here Biden is like talking about how he's going to propose laws to strengthen prohibitions on foreign nationals and governments trying to influence U.S. federal, state, and he wants to create elections and create an entirely new independent agency, Commission on Federal Ethics, to ensure that Russia and China can't interfere. And this was a debunked story, like from 4 years ago. That's still been maintained as like
Like, why wouldn't they? It's an amazing story. I mean, tactically, it's so good for information control.
Also, let's see what they say and about Russiagate now after this election turnout, right? Like, so it's all alleged interference,
What do
right?
you mean? As a propaganda guy who focuses on bringing reactionaries left, what they're gonna say is pretty easy at any level of competency. Just say, "Look, guys, we did it. You voted so much, you overdid the Russian conspiracy. They're done."
So, right. So that also ties in when you're saying earlier about how there's this fear of the other, and it's like he's like directly like instilling fear in the other, in that it's just like, oh, it's those other countries, it's those other
Yeah,
people.
the entire time he's like saying like we have Firo Angela saying the free world was the Warsaw Pact, but Biden is expressly bringing up terms like the Iron Curtain, which we had a victory over in this article. Like he is
He said that,
othering entire countries. And
Here we go again. Today, democracy is under more pressure than any time since the 1930s. Freedom House reported that of the 41 countries consistently ranked, quote, I love the quote, free from 1985 to 2005, 22 have registered net declines in freedom over the last 5 years. What does that even mean? Like, I
like how he lists Chile as one of the victims of like that thing, but like because of who? Because of
I wonder what happened.
what happened in Chile? What
can't
neoliberal
imagine.
policies happened?
Okay, can I just pause here for a second to take note of something?
what?
Chile is such a famous example of us fucking over another country that fucking libs know about it.
Yeah, even they understand that.
Like, if you read, like, again, the Shaka doctrine of my dad, like, Chile is so bad of an example. When rank and file, like, liberals know that's bullshit, you know you could have gone for a better example that no one knows about, right? Like, you could have just gone for, like, some African country you overthrew.
Yeah, it's
Why do you go for the one that everyone knows is bullshit?
like, there's a link to another. Yeah, so I love how they're like all these like authoritarian. Oh, what I'm.
These levels are too hard. I'm going back to the beginning.
Like, what a garbage word to basically mean anything that's not like the U.S. essentially. And then, so they're going on about how they're like, we need all the world democracies to look to the United States and truly lead the free world. And Trump seems to be on the other team, taking the word of autocrats while showing disdain for Democrats.
Okay.
What do you mean, guys? I learned in elementary school when the people said we're the only free country in the world, I asked, don't other countries have elections? Then I said, like Canada? And they told me, no, America's literally the only country with elections. This is what I was taught in elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
And you told me in elementary school lied to me?
Yes.
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 Yes, of course, obviously.
Yeah.
God, we had a terrible education system that we... Here's the thing, do you think my teachers unironically believe country
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, that is the thing. It's kind of a tangent, but it's interesting how most other countries, when they have pride in themselves, they usually have pride in themselves for like very concrete things.
Yeah,
So, like,
there's
when-
like
when
very
like,
legitimate
Denmark,
reasons.
Sweden, they say like we're the best countries because we have like the best happiness metrics or whatever. Like if you go to like
America
Vietnam,
has like
China,
ideological
it creates
pride.
their ideological purity. Like if you
Right.
go to,
Vietnam,
like,
they usually know.
a lot of
Vietnam,
different countries.
Vietnam brags about their healthcare.
So like
Well,
there's like different
So
like
does like Cuba, yeah.
like in a lot of African countries that will talk about like all the developments they've made and like installing infrastructure. But in the United States, when we say we're the best country, it's because we have freedom and liberty, and we are a guiding force.
We have
for the
these
world.
these abstract ideal concepts.
Oh, what
rather
Biden's
than-
No,
bragging
fairness,
about.
Our guiding force, the
The,
rest
the,
of
the
world
specific
fight
thing
their fear.
that Biden says that we should be proud of is we have a quarter of the entire global GDP, and we should be proud of that and use that power for
To
what?
crush other
Yeah,
countries.
to crush
Real
other
fast, when they
countries.
say we have it, who do they mean by we? I'm sure if you take out like the
Yeah,
Right.
who do they mean? Our country has that GDP. They obviously.
Yeah, let's be honest. If you probably took out the
They're
bottom
corporations.
99% of the population, you'd probably still have 99.5% of the GDP.
Oh, you would, yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you guys know the richest family in the world makes like 4 million income per year is pretty small, so they only make $4 million a second.
Soviet, did you
Right.
see the line where he said 95% of the world's population is outside the U.S., which means
Yes.
they're a market we need to tap into.
I saw that part. I was gonna get to that because the main theme of this article, right? This is the main theme of it, is basically, I'm going to coalesce all these quote unquote democracies, and in reality they're like neoliberal regimes. But I'm going to galvanize them all together in order to crush any country that goes against U.S. hegemony. That is the main theme of what he's saying throughout this entire article.
Right.
Like, that's just what all this talk about democracy and freedom is really about. Like, and he keeps mentioning autocrats and like whatnot, but that's what they mean by that. Like, they don't mean like he's talking about human rights. Like, he doesn't give a shit.
I am a little.
But, hey, stop! I would say I think that's a grossly strong and unresponsible. That's to pronounce it right. Unresponsible statement, Soviet. To say he doesn't give a shit. He is against it would be a more accurate statement.
Mhm.
Well, fair enough. I mean,
He is
he wouldn't say that. He's firmly going to say he's for that.
Apparently, the dog is named Bella in this. I couldn't read the writing because it was in Russian, but thank you for letting me know.
Ironically, he's talking about the surveillance state at some point, and how, like, China's just spreading hate and misinformation and causing people to go to violence.
China. Okay.
Yeah, this is what Biden's.
This is the level of
sabotage, like, right?
that we're at.
Like,
I mean,
he says specifically that he wants, like, the U.S. to, like, use the rest of the world as, like, this marketplace, essentially.
right.
All right, steering off topic for a tangent, but this article in this game is called "The Daily Bootlicker," and it's the title is on the headlines is "A Leaderless Cowards Defect," which is the libertarian cowards who are defecting, and the subtitles is "The Moon Lizardmen Responsible for Turncoats. Fluoride Also Suspected." Like, this is some Alex Jones level conspiracy
that's
of
Alex
why
Jones.
Libertarians are joining the communists of all of a sudden.
And maybe it's because of me. Maybe it's because I pointed out to them that their weird, like, traditional family makes way more sense, without an economy where everyone has to work 9 hours not to die.
Looks like some of these workers are
because
done
they
licking
realize
boots.
Maybe it's because they realize that real libertarianism is anti-capitalist. But okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. In all fairness to that argument, words just mean whatever.
I think it's possible that the libertarians can join our side now. Joe Rogerson or whoever her name was?
Joe Jorgensen.
Jorgensen.
Yeah.
Joe.
Apparently, r/poll is in a fit because like she was there like Jill Stein this election in Michigan or something.
Except Jill Stein didn't make any impact, and
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a
if I-
meme, but it's really
it is
funny.
a meme.
It's really
I mean,
funny.
Yeah.
Tim Pool does think 40% of America is actually communist spies that are waiting to pounce to help China take over America. So maybe that's what he talked about. Like, maybe that's why the libertarians are defecting. That's an actual thing.
I don't. That's a step too far for me. That would be great, but I don't believe that.
Why do conservatives listen to Tim Pool? He is so blatantly insane.
Well, if you listen
Even
to their
conservatives didn't like Tim Pool for like a long time. I'm not gonna get into details because it's not worth it.
Yeah.
But like, it was really funny.
he's not worth the time.
No
What-
one likes
what
him.
happened? What changed?
It's a whole
He
story.
licked
He
more
stuck
boots
to them.
than they expected.
He started writing for the Daily Bootlicker.
Yes,
That's what changed.
he got paid to write for the Daily Bootlicker, and then people started liking him.
Yep, that's what happened.
Yeah,
That's who wrote this article. He actually wrote that article in the game.
This article for Joe Biden was ghostwritten by Tim Pool.
I mean, who knows?
It's possible. Or like there
Indeed.
could have been multiple co-authors. Tim Pool could have just been one of them.
Possibly.
Do you want me to move us along to the next section on this
Not
article?
even had Dick Cheney to help him out.
Oh no.
I think
No,
if we move on to the next section, we can talk about Dick Cheney.
I agree.
A foreign policy for the middle class is what the next section is called in this.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, that just sounds bad.
The first thing he stresses is that foreign policy for the middle class is winning competitions against China.
or anyone else. But he mentions.
You know
China
what happens when
specifically.
China talks about foreign policy? They talk about win-win cooperation.
Win-win
And
economic cooperation.
America
yeah.
talks about competition. Like you can see clearly what their priorities are here.
Like they are basically he literally says we have to like win against them and like make them lose. Like and he's like because they're trying to, trade with other countries. We need to be the one doing like all the trading. We should be in charge. Like it's very chauvinistic the way he talks about this. In like just disgusting. I hate these appeals to like these vague ideas that he puts throughout. Like he's saying here, we have a strong tradition of the rule of law, and it honestly kind of comes out of nowhere here, but it's that kind of thing where like the politicians will say this. Like even Trump would.
I don't know if
stuff
this
like
is appropriate to mention here because like it might take too much explaining and you're gonna hate me for it. But like I do feel like Joe Biden is trying to imitate the way Xi Jinping talks, but obviously in like a completely contrary ideology of capitalism.
Right.
But like he said, Xi Jinping writes about the rule of law, but the way he writes about it is like a people's rule of law.
Yeah, it's different.
It's way different, but the way Joe Biden's obviously talking about is law and order, like expanding the police state.
I think you've gone off the deep end. I don't think he's trying to imitate him. I think this is just because all politicians kind of talk.
Yeah.
No, but what I mean by imitate is, then again, he goes on to talk about how we need to surpass China in innovation, and he says the word high-speed rails, which is laughable that like America could somehow have high-speed rails.
Stop. You're saying high-speed rails, but can you imagine trains?
No,
train,
I can't imagine even
that. Sorry, Mo Black. To fill you in, an ongoing in-joke here for like a month now has been the concept of public transportation being a unicorn in America.
Yeah, indeed.
So hence the meme has become, can you imagine trains?
Yeah. So, going further into this, yeah, Joe Biden's like, oh my god, this is actually hilarious. Who will make sure they protect workers, the environment, transparency, and middle-class wages? The United States, not China, should be leading that effort. So this is just laughable.
This is what we're talking about when we say eco-fascism. It's an eco-fascism competition. Like they're not concerned about the environment as long as we're winning in this regard. Like as long as we have the winning green technology that other countries have to use, and we're going to force it onto them to be green in that way.
So he mentions the workers here. This is like one of the few times he actually mentions that. But he also mentions.
Do you think he coughed blood after saying it? Like it was
his eye like turned red and it nearly popped out of his head. So that's probably what happened.
His eyes are robotic. They're cybernetic replacements for after he said it.
And middle class wages.
One thing that we need to actually start doing is to reclaim the term to reclaim the term like working class from liberals. Because
yeah, go on, Mo Black.
Okay, sure. Because what working class actually means is the 99% of people who must sell their labor to capitalists to survive.
Exactly.
If you want to, the proletariat. If you want to get a little bit more specific, the working poor are members of the working class who, even though they work, they do not have like the ability to
pay even like a minor fee.
Yeah, to pay rent, to pay. They don't have like the majority of Americans who can't afford a $500 emergency.
It's $400. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is still nothing.
So
you can keep in mind those statistics saying that how many people in America aren't poor. If they can't afford a 500 fee, they still count as not being poor.
Yeah, the entire poverty level thing is very like inaccurate when you like really look at it.
Well, Black, is it you that I'm remembering posting something on Twitter a while ago that was like, oh no, they forgot to change the poverty line again?
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah, they forgot to change the poverty line to like make it look like it's going better. I mean,
I remember I think my old middle school history teacher was a closet leftist, because when I asked him about that, when I was just being introduced to leftism, like, I don't know, seems strange. Maybe you should look into it more. And then it didn't bring anything else up, so I think he might have been a closet leftist.
I'm not sure
He
about
also
that.
talked a lot about how our current economic system wasn't sustainable, but then wouldn't elaborate.
I'm not sure. It's just like kind of like if you
That's
pay
a pretty high
attention, you'll
score
know
for this
that.
level. Look how many commerce I saved.
Oh, nice work. So this
Oh,
section.
one person died. Only one. They will be eternalized as a hero.
So this section pretty much goes in, like half this entire section is about China.
It is. It is.
Yeah. So he's basically saying China's playing the long game by extending its global reach, promoting its own political model, and investing in technology of the future. These things are actually all true.
Yeah, like for his credit, he was right. They are doing that. Which, how is that a bad thing? Why is this a bad thing?
That is what the U.S. has been doing for the past over a century and a half. So,
But he stresses that like the U.S. should write the
Needs to be
rules
the one
that
doing
govern
that.
trade, and China shouldn't be allowed to do that for some reason. I don't know why. He says that the U.S. needs to govern the rules of trade, not China specifically, so that they can protect the middle class wages.
Yes, that's what he says.
That's
He
I
does
think
say
we
that.
need to be extra suspicious of liberals who talk on and on about the middle class.
Yeah, middle class is a very loaded term when it like comes to this kind of stuff.
Here's an analogy that I think I like very much. It's like you're running a hospital, right? In which 20 people are like perfectly healthy. 20 people are like in critical condition, like dying, and like there's like 60 people in the middle who like kind of have a mild cold, and then you spend all your time making sure that the people who have a mild cold get cough drops, and you're like, but there's like 20 people in the ICU right now. No. We just
people
got
watching this,
more
please
cough
clip out
drops.
that quote. That's amazing. I want to give it that.
You can if you want.
Yeah.
But that's the same thing. We have 8 million people in poverty, like I said before. We have like
Extreme poverty, like
1 in 10 families who are like undernourished, who like don't have enough.
they don't
to,
even
like,
have
eat,
clean
like,
drinking water.
to sustain. We have people who don't have clean drinking water. We have like thousands upon thousands of people who are like currently houseless, and you're talking about like the middle class who are like people who make like 6 figures, like in it ranges to anything. Anyone who makes
Is that what we're defining middle class as? I guess don't count anymore.
Well, yeah, the definition of the middle class is actually very vague when people use it. 'Cause they're like,
Pew Research does like
like you can miss one paycheck and not immediately. I always thought that was my definition of middle class.
Pew
no,
Research does middle income as people who are like half the median income household
wow,
income
that's
to
great.
people who are
I
2
think the
times
middle
the
class,
median.
I think of just people who are like relatively economically secure in the bareness.
Notice how like, the fact that there's a middle class, like, okay, they use that term, so that means there's a class below the middle class. Biden doesn't mention them a single time in this article.
no, he
even
does
if
not.
even if he did try.
They don't vote,
I can't
and they do
imagine
not
why.
legitimize his power, so he does not need to give a shit about them.
I can't
That's the
imagine
thing.
why. It's almost like they realize that, like, no matter who's president, like, they'll still be in a really shitty situation. Anyways, this is what Joe is saying though. Is like, we need to secure this. We need to secure a future for the white middle class. I mean, we need to secure a future for American corporations to loot the globe. I also find it laughable.
Open
how
markets and 95% of the other populations is what you meant to say.
He means
yeah.
we need to open up the slave markets, like we open up slave markets in Libya. I mean, we need to open markets up in order to defeat China.
Wait, did we actually do that? That sounds like something we would do.
It did happen.
That's exactly what happened. He wasn't joking.
So, I mean, my question is, did we do that intentional? Because that
Yes.
sounds like something we do. Okay, guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that happened intentionally.
Alright, so I think that is... Well, okay, it continues foreign policy here. It's the next section, back at the head of the table.
Wait, why don't we bring up the liberals literally fucking time?
Because
What?
they don't care. Because they only care about their constituent middle class is what is, and
And
that's
they're
the term
embarrassed.
Biden uses. And they're
Yeah,
embarrassed.
that is the thing.
That is true. Like even like the
Um,
more big ones that care about more people tend not to care more about people. Like outside
I'm
the-
assuming people didn't bring that up at all during this election is because like I'm pretty sure like Libya is like somehow tied to like Hillary Clinton's emails or something. So it's like, oh,
Yeah,
you're
it
pro-Trump. You're pro-Trump for realizing that there's a slave trade in Libya now because we destabilized the entire country. It's civil war.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
something
had
like
to do with, like, there was a whole...
I mean, they tend-
And
That instability
in
like
the way
makes
that
its way down to.
falling down a radical rabbit hole by pointing out Hillary.
What was that, Mo?
Oh, I said the instability in Libya, it like makes its way down to like, for example, Mali has been like fighting like far right reactionary Islamists.
Yeah, they've been
and it's
fighting,
Burkina
like,
Burkina
these, like,
Faso has like
Islamic
Niger has-
terrorists.
yeah.
Like these far-right Islamic terrorist groups that like came into power once Libya was, you know, basically dissolved and became like a failed state.
Mhm.
Like it basically led this outflow of like terrorist activity across like Africa and the Middle East, even into like some parts of Europe as well.
So here's a depressing thing. If you guys just want to talk to the liberals about like the success of capitalism, there is more slaves in the world now than at the height of the continental slave trade.
Yep, that's
Mhm.
true.
I mean,
That's true.
and I don't think that we smart enough to bring up the defense that like also the population in the world now is more than 9 times larger, like the human population.
That's true.
Yeah.
But you don't want to. You want to be careful about scaling things to population
Yeah.
because this is, for example, something that like liberals do a lot. They'll say like, oh well, the percentage of people in poverty has like actually gone down because the number of people in the world has gone up.
Right.
But,
That's like
but
what
let me tell you
Steven
something.
Pinker will
If you have
say.
like a population of like 100 people, and like 50 of them are in poverty, but you have like now you have a population of 1,000 people, and 200 of them are in poverty. Are you seriously going to say that like, oh well, because the percentage has gone down, there's less suffering? No.
There's a lot of suffering.
There's 200
yeah, no.
people.
No, that's not the argument I'm making. I'm making the defense argument you could make. Is
All
that
right, I'll make another point to that. I'll make a counterpoint to that right now.
Mhm.
If you remove, you know how they like Steven Pinker and people like him are like, oh, the number of people in like the poverty is decreasing. If you remove China and Vietnam from the graph, it's just going down.
Right.
So it's like there like the percentage of people in poverty is actually going up, even by that loose definition. If you take off,
Oh,
China
you just
and
take up.
Vietnam.
That's a fun fact to know.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
like
so to all the
fact.
people who doubt China, it's like if you take China off, then poverty goes up. But if you add it, then it's going down.
It
Oh,
says
don't
it's going
forget
down.
Vietnam.
It's
Yeah,
certainly
and-
not like the relentless march of capitalist progress leading to the decrease of poverty around
Living-
the world. That is that is the truth.
Fun fact: do you know capitalism is actually holding back technological progress now?
Of course, it has been for a long time actually.
So I'm a bit probably more the most into sciences here. A big problem is that because of patents, technology is being brought to a standstill because if someone figures out something, no one else can use that technology.
It's funny
That's
you
not
mentioned
science.
that because Joe Biden actually made a point of like protecting like intellectual property and like
So he's
technology.
gonna continue to hold back. Like
Yes,
I am
he
convinced
he
right
made
now.
a point about saying that.
I'm convinced right now that if it wasn't for fucking patents, we would have fusion by now, and we would be able to get rid of oil.
We
By
certainly
the
did
way,
a
check
lot
out our
better
video
off.
Abolish Copyright with epic editing of Kill la Kill in the background. Still a good video. Or Patricia Jackson's video on abolishing copyright, the Golden Calf. It's a good video.
Yeah, oh yeah, good video
We are radical copyright abolitionists
for
on this
sure.
channel.
Yes.
I mean, that's
What is? Oh my God! It's
I
an
am
actual
doubled.
super cop.
Oh
Kill
no.
them. Yeah, this game has a super cops. They're probably like
Spidey, take
genetically
my-
engineered Elon Musk babies.
Oh,
Oh no,
probably.
he's perverting transhumanism.
Wait,
Let's
is he
kill
even?
him.
He's even killable? He won't
Oh
die.
wow,
There you go. There he goes. He was.
it was a boss
Wow.
fight.
He killed
So-
so many people.
And he continued from this after his whole Perfect.
Well,
So
Black, apparently Elon Musk has perverted transhumanism and creating super cops to save Bowling Green.
Right.
Yeah.
Elon Musk ruins
I
everything.
think it's
he touches,
Bowling
okay?
Green.
He's,
But
he's an
Oh
investor
god,
with
no,
a
another super cop.
As a transhumanist, I'm very sad right now. Than Elon Musk.
yeah. So it goes on in that he's like, we've made some mistakes and missteps. But Trump abdicated his responsibility. So either that someone will take the United States' place, but not in a way that advances our interests or values, or no one will, and chaos will ensue. Either way, that's no good. The
Could I
electronic
interrupt you?
like,
Chat brings up an interesting point I think we should address.
what is it, Alex?
The chat would like us to bring up the fact that they think the management class functionally serves the same role as the cops, but in a different mechanism, because both of them take their orders directly from the upper class, while being part of the lower class.
That is, yeah, that's true. They're like that the managerial class is like that bureaucratic like hand of like the capitalist state, the bourgeois state.
Well, I'm not even thinking of bureaucrats. I think more like managers and stores, because bureaucrats just make sure society doesn't. Like,
Well-
I think every modern industrial government, no matter what it is, needs fucking bureaucrats, or else we'll all die of nuclear radiation now.
Right.
Because someone didn't make sure that do the right for to use the right piece of rock, that's not cause a nuclear meltdown.
Right. I mean, to be fair, a lot of that has kind of been like worn down by like, people like Bush and Trump to an extent.
They're getting rid of the good bureaucracy
Cheney.
and introducing bad bureaucracy.
Actually, that's a good point, Dick Cheney.
I
Yeah.
think what people mean when they say professional managerial class is like all these like corporate positions that like don't really do much. Like for example, HR. Like
Right.
you can't replace like a union.
Hey, what do you mean?
with HR,
Their
right,
job is to
and
fire.
others.
Their job is to protect the company from lawsuits.
Yeah.
It's like that scene in Office Space when they're like, when they keep asking, when their job is just like hire and fire people, and then it's like, what do you do here? Like,
Well, don't you see? So you do this? No, my secretary does that. So what do you do?
there's a great like comic with them with Marx like at the table where it's like, what do you do here? Like, yeah.
So I do think it's important to consider like managerial positions when it comes to like class consciousness, but I've also seen a lot of really bad faith takes where people try to like segment, I think, the managerial class as if it was like its
own
own
class.
independent class.
It's not.
And then like and then how like the only real working class are like people who like
Work
I don't know.
blue collar work.
yeah,
or
like
however
people
you
who
wanna-
like work in factories or like stocking shelves and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
it's just a lot of anti-materialist
I would say that
garbage, anti-intersectional garbage that I think comes out of that. So managerial class
Yeah.
definitely real, definitely important, but like be
It's not
careful
a
with
class
some
of its
it.
own. Yeah, it's not a class of its own. It is it's like a subservient like subclass of capital.
I think you bring up a good point, Mo Black, about like us needing to fight against like the anti-materialist, anti-worker thing that only like the old-fashioned jobs that existed when Marx was alive count as working jobs. Like
Right.
I worked on
Yeah.
subtitles and like QA. I think that's a job, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or does that not count because subtitles didn't exist when Marx was alive?
well.
We should
Well,
probably,
I don't think the stream needs to be about the professional managerial class. So do you want to continue on?
Yeah, we should probably divert.
Alright, this is literally where my notes end. I don't think there's much left to this article, but did you have anything else to add?
I think Soviet had more to say once he gets back.
Wait, he
we
left?
could probably go back to the article. I just wanted to address that because chat was yelling at us to bring it up, and I wanted to engage with chat.
Yeah.
Good,
worth
good
discussing.
work, chat. Good job, comrades in chat. All
Thanks, Chad.
25 of you.
This is a pretty high turnout for a stream, actually. So thanks for all joining.
It must have learned that I was coming.
Of course.
I take all credits.
Oh, I in this article, it's like that under Democratic and Republican presidents for the last 70 years, we played a leading role in writing the rules, forging agreements, animating the institutions, like police, I guess. Wow.
Yeah.
The prisons, wow. The military, yeah. Good job, guys. Good job. That advance the collective security and prosperity, and then there's like a dash until Trump.
Yeah.
No joke. That's like as if America only became bad because of Trump. Everything
That's
else
how
until that
this
point.
is like framed. That's how like all of this is framed. Is like all this was going so well until Trump came in and he ruined NATO. He like ruined all our alliances. He like helped all these other leaders like of our enemies, quote unquote enemies.
This entire article is just like take some salt and like yeah, it's a high dosage of salt.
Somehow I feel like China is less likely to assassinate me than my own government. So
What?
I mean, on this whole idea, it's like, well, we used to be good and great, and then Trump came along, and now we're back. Like, I think it was like the mayor of Paris who said like, "Welcome back, America," and that's kind of like been like
Or
the
it
rallying
was,
cry.
Yeah, and it's that whole idea of going back to normal, going back to brunch.
Mm-hmm.
That's like
the reason why they want you to go back to brunch is because Trump has exposed, I think, some of the
realities.
the most obvious flaws in the American system, like imaginable. And what Biden is going to try and do over the next 4 years is to just patch them all up, just
And
to
that's what this article says.
go back to the state where all of that was hidden and underground. And
Well,
especially if you like live like
you're saying
more
our job as
comfortable
leftists right
life.
now is to stop him from being able to do that.
Yeah, our
That's
job.
his
is to
entire plan.
So our
And
job is just to stop. Is just to fuck with that plan for the next 4 years and hope that things start to get worse during that time.
They will get worse,
To like
unfortunately.
stay salty, to stay vigilant, and to build dual power, to build mutual aid, to build leftist parties, to
Do you think
build
we should have a follow-up stream about how to do mutual power?
to do dual power. I'm probably gonna
more
do.
about just complaining about Biden. Should we have a follow-up one about what to actually do now?
Given some good suggestions for now.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
not sure about specifics.
if you guys want to do another collab about like how to organize, I'd be down. I'm like,
Yeah, I'm cool with it. We'll consider doing that. So, do we want to talk about this whole NATO thing, like going back to normal in terms of that and what
That
this
sounds
means?
good. Why don't you do this off Soviet?
Oh wait,
Okay.
wait. Before that, the last thing Biden says here is back at the head of the table is that he says, "Oh, we're not infallible as leaders, but it was because we've focused solely on military might instead of drawing on our full array of strengths like sanctions and blockades and economic
we don't have
warfare."
to bomb ground
They also
children.
mentioned-
Soon.
They also mentioned using special forces to like over.
Oh yeah, we mentioned that.
So
Yeah.
here's a question I want you and everyone here in the chat to also answer. Biden or Trump? Which one sounds more like a supervillain? The way they talk. Like, which one's
That's
like-
not. That's a very hard question because there's no.
I-
I'm of the opinion there's no greater evil, so like that's a.
That's a tough question.
They both sound bad.
I feel like
Like,
Trump is
Trump-
the.
Trump sounds more like a supervillain because he's
Yeah.
I think
more
Trump sounds more
cartoony.
like-
Do you guys see that
obvious, like,
Twitter
comic book
meme
evil
where
president.
like you see that Twitter meme where it's like an anime girl? I think the show. I don't remember the show. It was an anime girl, and she's like Trump, a House of Trump, and Trump in Japanese is cards. So it's like, why would you need a House of Cards? But she said like Trump, so it sounded like why would you need Trump Tower? It was pretty funny.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, Donald Trump, like Mo said, is like a more obvious like cartoon villain, but like Joe Biden's like that it's that sinister like politician who's like doing these like horrible nefarious activities and being like, we're doing this for freedom and democracy. Isn't this great? Isn't this swell, everybody? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes he lets the mask slip, but less than Trump.
Yeah, I think we
that
covered a
makes
lot of
sense.
ground in this live stream. So I mean, if you guys are okay with wrapping up, I don't know if we have to go on about NATO. We talked about a lot about imperialism this episode.
That's true.
Do you
I'll
want to continue on
have to get going soon.
And this one I want to read out.
Yeah, let's wrap this up. So
before we,
we plugged No Black at the beginning, but just in case, his channels and the description, definitely go check him out. He needs more subscribers, more followers.
For sure.
Thank you.
And
Send him our spirit power so he can do the spirit bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Send Mo Black some support.
We need communist
watch his videos.
social. We need communist spirit bombs. This game I've been playing tonight, We Riot, is basically that concept. It is
But
collective
basically, the
gaming.
more subscribers No Black has and we have, we'll collaborate together.